Hey, this is Kim. I'm here at Mind Over Matter Meditation Center in Holliston, Mass. It is Sunday, May 1st. Oh my God, where did that even go? Where did April even go? Um, really quite incredible the last few weeks, things that have been going on, changes taking place, sort of up in the air, things flipping on their heads over and over and over. People all sort of coming to realizations in their own time, which is always interesting when you're also in the process of co-creating with other people and you have these pop-offs of ahas and awakening moments, and they just are happening faster and faster. And maybe you're in that phase where you're feeling that, and maybe you're not, and that's okay too. There's lots of different ways to experience what's going on. So what is going on? Let's just kind of dive right into it. So I pulled a few cards, wanted to come out and play and help with understanding what the messages of the times are for the past few weeks and just sort of where we are right now. And I wanted to lead off with one of the cards that came out when I pulled from the Moon deck, the Moonology by Yasmin Boland. The last card to come out, but I feel like it really helps to set the tone, is the Disseminating Moon, which is take time to breathe out, exhaling, fully letting the breath go. So we have that nice, not quite full moon in the picture here, and we're not even in a full moon phase, but that's what's beautiful, is that these cards are relative to where we are potentially in any given moment. They help us see the bigger picture because times change and each day is a new day and the energy is new. And so what are we doing to breathe through the moment? So the affirmation, or this little attune to the moon that goes with each card for this one, says, I am where I am and it's okay. And I think that taking a moment to just really sitting with and accepting and taking a breath and saying, I am where I am, and that's okay. There's a teaching of Abraham Hicks that I have recently started to work with a little bit more, and I've heard her mention this quite a few times, but I think because I had my own work to do with it, it sort of rubbed me. You know, when we have those things that sort of tap on the back door of what we're sort of trying to keep in our closet, it can kind of get a little prickly or a little, just a little defensive around it. But the concept is arguing for our limitations. And society definitely encourages us and teaches us that that's what you need to always be doing, is sort of explaining to people why you are where you are. And for as much as sometimes when we're involved in situations with other people, we may owe something to the situation and not have done the work in the sense of getting ready to be ready for that moment. And when we didn't give ourselves permission to get ready to be ready, and people are sort of like, well, why aren't you ready? The tapes, those subconscious, semi-conscious, for some of us, sometimes we're fully aware of what we're doing or partially aware of what we're doing or have no idea what we're doing. But regardless, those subconscious tapes, we've talked about them before. So the mind gets in those ruts, and the samskaras that get created at sort of like the bottom of the subconscious mind, where familiar thought patterns come in and we have these repetitive ways of responding to them energetically, and we reinforce those automatic responses the more that we allow them to be our first sort of go-to. So it's just about recognizing when you're in a situation where you're being asked something about how you feel or why did you do that or what do you think, where we're either able to sit for a minute and take a breath and disseminate our own feelings and really think about how we feel in our response to the situation, or more frequently we hit that click, that little button upstairs in the head that just spits out that response that comes to our mouth, and before we even know it, we're responding in such an automatic way. And oftentimes in those automatic responses, it is defensiveness. It is sort of explaining our shortcomings or making excuses for where we sabotaged ourselves or allowed things to get in the way, or simply the process of not being ready to be ready for what it was that we were doing. And I'm finding that with myself, I think especially over the past couple of years, my experience with this is when I catch myself doing that, I've been getting increasingly frustrated. And in those moments of frustration, when we can really just sit and allow them to happen, ultimately what's frustrating is that we allowed a trigger to be the response from here instead of breathing down into our heart centers and answering in a more authentic way. And so for me, a lot of the change that's been taking place is simply about becoming more authentic with myself and functioning from a place of where am I right now? Because where I am right now is okay. In this moment, it's okay how I got here. It's okay that I'm here. And it's okay in whatever choice I make to take off from this moment and move forward. So as we're sort of looking at all the things that came out to help with getting this message through, 3 moon cards came out, 2 of them together. And I think it's always fascinating to me the way that the messages overlap. So right now we are in a new moon phase. It's the new moon in Taurus. And so it's interesting, the card I pulled is actually the new moon in Aries, which was the solar cycle prior to Taurus. It's Aries. It's the first of the zodiac. And the Aries cards have been coming out quite a bit, and it does indicate that it's time to take action. It is a time of that fire is lit, and it's about having the determination and the bravery. So if Aries is the first sign of the zodiac and that fire is lit for where you know you want to go, it takes endurance because you're just at the beginning of that journey. And it really is about the journey, not the destination. And so maybe the goal or the fire that lit within you to create something does have a long process. Are you able to sort of keep your eye on the prize at the end of it and do all the things that you need to do to get yourself there? And so it's a new start. It's basically that if there's anything right now that you have been asking about, is this the time? Yes, 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 yes. Now is the time. So I did also pull, so it's a solar eclipse is about opening doors. So yesterday was the new moon in Taurus with the solar eclipse. The solar eclipses happen on new moons and lunar eclipses happen on full moons. They happen within 2 weeks generally of each other when you go from the new moon to full moon or first quarter to third quarter moon phase. And so sometimes it's the lunar eclipse prior to the solar eclipse, and this time it's actually the solar eclipse prior to the lunar eclipse. And so with a solar eclipse on the new moon, it's about opening doors. What's fascinating is the card that came out with the Aries, the new moon in Aries, where we're at new moon in Taurus, is a full moon eclipse card. And so its conclusions are within reach. It's about doors closing. And so this is where we're getting into this period of things happening very fast, and that changes are happening seemingly on a dime. They can seem abrupt. They can seem out of left field. Not always, but it does indicate that with the amount of things that are sort of coming, sometimes too our focus is just on other things. I mean, let's face it, there is plenty to be distracted about right now in the world. There just is. There's so much. You can really pick any topic, any angle, any frame of mind that you want to explore, and you can really deep dive and go down that rabbit hole. There's so much to distract us with, and some of it's helpful and some of it's not, but that's always personal as well. If you have things going on that are distracting you from what you feel like is what's important to you, then just take some time, breathe your way through that, because where you are right now is okay, and just refocus. And just shift your focus back and go back to the work to get ready for the next time where an opportunity may present itself to you and you want to be able to say yes, because now is the time about saying yes. And so conclusions within reach, being able to see the finite end to things, to be able to make decisions that are final. It does resonate with that energy of, and that essence of, the death before the rebirth. So whether it's the metaphoric death, whether there is an actual death. This past week as well, Pluto went retrograde, and Pluto will remain retrograde, I believe, until October 8th. And so you have this shadow side. So Pluto is this little tiny planet way, way out. I don't care what anybody says. I will always consider Pluto one of our core planets. It's within our solar system. It's within our energy field. We are definitely affected by its resonance and its energy. So will always have a special place in my heart, but it did just go retrograde. And so it is that really deep. And so you have the solar eclipse. So the solar eclipse is opening this door. So the eclipse is about the earth, the moon, and the sun. And so if you have the sun being the conscious and the moon being the subconscious, and so you have this new moon, you have the solar eclipse and the new moon, which is said to be like the power of something like 100 new moons. And so if the new moon is subconscious, Pluto just went retrograde. And so whatever shadowy stuff is going on in the subconscious may all of a sudden be much more in your awareness than it has before. And that can be daunting. That can be a little disconcerting. That can be a lot of fun if you are somebody who really likes to dive into their shadow work. People do. There's times when I really enjoy it because of its revelatory nature for me. Sometimes it's a real pain in the ass, and we don't always get to choose how it's presenting. I try really hard to see it as a blessing. It's hard. Sometimes it's not that easy, but generally these things are here to help us. And so it is about changes. And so we have this energy of this real super moon, this real super new moon, this deep dive into the subconscious, the shadow side of what might be in the subconscious, doors opening, doors closing. I also read somewhere that this particular eclipse was had to do with soulmate energy, and feeling that masculine and divine feminine, divine masculine energy, and that oneness that we're all trying to weave back together in our own lives and amongst humanity. All of these changes can really be, they can be presenting themselves in lots of different ways for people. So interesting. I pulled an animal card from the Ted Andrews Animal Message, Animal Wise Tarot deck. Love Ted. And got butterfly. Oh, isn't that? Yeah, here we go. So Ace of Shapeshifters, water, cups in the traditional tarot. And butterfly is for new love, joy, and health. But we all know butterfly is also about change. And so this time to take action with the Aries new moon card. The fire is lit. The time is now. It's the time to say yes to things. So butterfly, joy, the sweetness of life. So I just made a few notes here. So the sweetness of life. So bear came up a few times in a few of the readings. And one of the things that I wanted to mention, I'm not sure if I got the chance to, is that with bear, is that bears love honey. And so honey represents the sweetness of life. And so since we have been sort of transitioning from winter to spring, it has been about what holds the sweetness of life for you? Where do you find the sweetness in your own life? Where do you experience the sweetness of your own life? Can you even identify what it means to taste the sweetness of your own life or life in general? And so butterfly is about joy, the sweetness of life, playing, this really fun, creative. So butterfly, we've seen and heard the metaphor for the transformation of butterfly forever. And we, especially in the past few years, we really were thrown collectively into the chrysalis. We were in this sort of transformational period for a really long period of time. It has been like this 2-year gestation period from 2020 to 2022. That is a long time to hang out in a birth canal. It's dark, it's messy, you can't always see the light, you're not always sure if you're going to make it to the end. All of these metaphors do very much embody what humanity has been going through. And so dancing into joy, the message of butterfly is really about movement. And so in order for a snake to get out of its old skin, in order for a lizard to get out of its skin, in order for the butterfly to be able to make the full transformation from the chrysalis into the butterfly, while it's in its cocoon, in its chrysalis, the most amazing thing happens. And I know some people know this, but not everybody does. And I think it is always worth hearing and always worth relating to our own experience as human beings. And so the caterpillar eats all of its food, it overeats, it gets all stuffed, it turns into its chrysalis. And while it's in there and it starts to make its transition, out of nowhere, out of seeming nowhere, like its own little big bang within its chrysalis takes place, and imaginal cells develop. And the imaginal cells are what help the transformation from the caterpillar to butterfly. I think it's really beautiful, and I don't think it's any coincidence that it also happens to sound like imagination, imaginary, imagination. So it takes a lot of imagination and belief in your own imagination, your belief in your own creative ability to trust in something unseen. We're so conditioned as humans to only believe in what we see, to believe it. And this whole process has been about flipping that and turning it to believing and then seeing it. You have to believe in something before it is going to reveal itself to you. You have to believe in that new job before you even go into the interview, or that new partner before you even enter the relationship, or the new plant in your garden as you're putting the seed into the dirt and into the ground, never to be seen as a seed again. You will never see it the same way. It will either never come out, as sometimes the seeds in my little planters do, or it will transform and go through its own change and become the plant that the seed was to become. And so if we're the seed and the plant, if we're all of it, we have these seeds within us. And that's what these moon cycles are for. And I love the whole concept of gardening to the moon, because it really is about this first quarter moon period is about planting seeds. It's about planting intention. And even though we have this Aries action about taking action, it means about taking action overall. Even in taking action, inaction is necessary to be able to assimilate the process that's going on so that you can evaluate anything that needs to happen or change, or energy that needs to go into or come out of a situation as we're building towards the full moon over the next 2 weeks. So we plant the seeds, we have the intention, we are holding space, we're shining light, we're watering, we're pouring our emotions and our feelings into what we're doing, we're allowing them to guide our way through. And then hopefully we get to see in a few weeks the beginning of the culmination of what we've been putting our efforts into. And so the new moon in Aries card is also about minding yourself on the journey. It's about not moving too fast. So sometimes when we light the fire, it's like a cannon, we just want to go, we just want it done, we just want to get to the end. We can become a little single-minded and focused, and we can kind of forget our manners along the way and how we might be treating other people. And so I feel like this is sort of the yin and the yang of the energy that's going on, is this, this fire, it's time to take action, and this take time to breathe. And so for people who like to take action, hearing to stop and take a breath can be like, I don't want to do that. I just want to go till I get to the end. But even in hearing it put that way, what are you more likely going to do? Are you going to burn out before you get to the end? Or are you going to get to the end because you're stopping and you're pacing yourself and you're taking a breath along the way? Our nervous systems are really built in to let us know what we need next. So being on all the time is not healthy. It's not sustainable. It's not good for us. It's generally not good for the environment around us. It creates ourselves to be stressed out. It can create this energy that's going out into our environment that's stressed out and stressing everybody else out. And so coming back to change, being joyful and playful and sweet. So butterfly, I actually bookmarked the page. I just love the end of this message. We will soon feel more fertile, creative, and alive. A new beginning is about to occur in relationships and love. And of course, spring just oozes with the partnering. The animals are all coming together. They're having their babies. People want to come out. They want to, I have all these visions of this poetry in nature that comes out with the songs of the birds and the movement of the wind and the rustling of the trees as the buds and the leaves start to come out. And it is such a beautiful, beautiful symphony. To me, it is so poetic, and it absolutely is romantic in the most beautiful way. Even the little bee butts getting covered with some pollen and spreading the love around. It really, it's like love is in the air. It just is. So butterfly encourages us to take part in the new dance manifesting around us, reminding us that dance brings joy and sweetness of life. So it warmed my heart yesterday. I had seen a post that a dear friend that's part of our friends that like to get together and go out and go dancing had said that she was able to get out this weekend with a friend and do some dancing. And in this picture, she hadn't even gone dancing yet. It was before she had gone out, but you could see the energy and the anticipation of the joy that she was going to have during this night out that was already in her field. It was like getting ready to be ready. It was putting herself in that place of joy and excitement before even getting into the situation. And so I think that goes a lot in line with the whole concept of the feeling it before you see it, believing in it before you see it, trusting it's going to happen before it's come in front of you. There's been a lot of trying energy lately. There has been a lot of things that have been thrown at us very much intentionally to see if it can rock you off course, to see if it can distract you away from your own sense of your inner self, to see if it can really steal your light. There's a lot of ways to say it, but I think at the end of the day, that it's that feeling of us being just extinguished in some way, shape, or form. And I know for me, when I see that happening in humanity, it definitely gets me going. Sometimes it's something I can use as what's the word I'm looking for? So like an influence or input or inspiration to move into action, to take action on something. Sometimes it makes me really angry, and I need to sit with those feelings and find a healthy outlet for that anger. So I want to talk just a minute about that too, because anger is definitely up. We're in a third chakra here. And so if our third chakra is here, it's this yellow center, it's below the heart, it's above the solar plexus, above the orange, it's a spire in the belly, right? And so we have this fire that sits within us. And when we're angry, we hold our breath. And so if fire is here and air is here, we need air for healthy fire. And so this exercise is called Bear Grip at the Heart Center. And I want to share it with you because I think it's an incredibly helpful exercise for helping to dissipate angry energy that's being held on to in the heart center. And so even though anger is an emotion of the third chakra, because it's that fire, what it does is it pushes up and we have a lot of fire and not enough air, and we feel it back building in our hearts. And so in order to express or rid energy and move energy through the heart chakra, if you think of your arms are an extension of your heart center leading out and down to your hands, which is why creative things, doing things with your hands, making things, bringing things into the world with your itty bitty little fingers is such an amazing gift from the heart. When you make something that you give to somebody, it really is a gift of the heart because it came through, it had to move through your heart center in some way, shape, or form, whether you really realize it or not. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring the hands up to the level of the heart center. The left hand is going to be facing out, right hand is going to be facing in. You're going to curl your fingers into each other. And so shoulders are down and relaxed. The hands are at the heart center. You want to make sure your shoulders aren't hunched up really high. Arms are down. So what you're going to do is with your fingers interlocked here, you're going to take a breath in. And when you breathe in, you want to breathe down into your belly and fill your belly and gently hold it. You don't want to be inhaling up here. You want to be inhaling and holding down here. You don't really want your chest and your shoulders to move at all. So you're going to take a deep breath in through the nose, down into the belly, holding it comfortably. And while you're holding your breath comfortably, you are going to attempt to pull your hands apart. So you're going to put tension across this arc line right here at the chest level. So you're inhaling, hold, and pull. For as long as it's comfortable, and as you need, let that breath go. Relax the grip. Don't release the fingers. And then do it again. Inhaling, holding that breath comfortably, and attempt to pull those hands apart. And what you're going to feel is you're going to feel that tension that you're building across that arc line. And release as needed. Release that breath, release the grip. Try that for a few minutes. Close your eyes. The other thing that helps with closing the eyes is when your eyes are closed, to roll them up to the third eye point. So it's sort of like you're looking up at the inside of your forehead like a little movie screen. What happens is when you close your eyes and you are meditating or you're doing a pranayama exercise, excuse me, if your eyes are moving, you're more likely to have your mind wander because your focus is looking for something to connect to the mind. We're always looking literally for something to think about. And so if you place the focus here, not only are you stimulating through intention your pituitary and pineal gland, which are sort of lined up in this beautiful angular way in the head like a reception. It's really cool. The science behind where our glands are inside of our brains is not by accident. And so when you are rolling up at that third eye point, this is also the solar point. So your lunar point is here at the tip of your nose and the solar point is here at the forehead. And so it helps to activate your solar point. It helps to activate your third eye. It helps to keep the mind from wandering. And you can really start to sink into that breath. So practicing that bear grip at heart center just to help move out any anger, frustration, anything that may be going on. Remembering to take time to breathe, take time to just take a breath. When you take the time to take a breath, you are resetting your nervous system, and having a strong, balanced nervous system will help you experience the joy in the change. So thank you so much for joining me. I really... allergies. Anyway, I really appreciate you joining me for these videos. I apologize for the inconsistency in the release. We are trying to get things sort of back on track and regular, and this is where I need to just accept where I am right now in this moment, and the joy of sharing this information is what keeps bringing me back, even when life is trying to, push me off balance. The resonation with these messages, and I know how much when they show up in my life, they help me. I just want to help others get through where we are right now so that we can continue to move forward and co-create something better and something more beautiful for the entire world. So I believe in me. I believe in all of you. Love to you all. Namaste. Till next time. Take care.